Hello, today we will talk about the book, Circadian Code, How to Adjust Your Biological Clock to Healthy Life. It was written by Dr. Sachin Panda. For me, this book revealed 3 amazing facts about weight loss, sleep patterns, and sports. If you cannot lose weight, healthy diet, exercise, calorie count do not bring the desired result, constantly feel drowsy and broken, exhausted during the day and experiencing problems with sleep, wake up tired even after 8 hours of sleep, have become ill often, this video will help you find the causes of ailments and fix them. The video is divided into 3 parts: nutrition, sleep, and exercise. But first, let's figure out what a circadian clock is. It's an internal biological rhythm that controls almost all the processes in the body. This clock is programmed to perform daily actions according to the established rhythms. For example, most of you start and end the working day at a certain time. Your internal organs also have their own hours of work and rest. Regulated by circadian code, every creature on the planet has it. Unlike humans, however, flora and fauna are very respectful of their inner cycles. Look, the warden says you have to come to work at 8 o'clock in the morning. And if you choose to come in at random, you're likely to be fired. Just as careless work can ruin your career, disruption of the sleep and food cycle can ruin your health. An interesting experiment was carried out by 2 laboratory twin mice. Each day fed harmful food in equal quantities. The difference was that one mouse could only feed for 8 hours after waking up. The experiment lasted 18 weeks and the results were quite shocking. A mouse that was free access to food gained 28% more weight and a whole bunch of diseases: diabetes, obesity of the liver, and even cardiovascular disease. And in a mouse whose food was limited in time, none of these diseases have divorced. On the contrary, she became more staunch, her sugar and cholesterol levels were perfect. And one more thing, when overweight mice were put on the same limited feeding cycle, diseases started to disappear automatically, without taking any medication. What's more, when you lose weight in a mouse, it's fat that goes away. Although usually occurs simultaneously a decrease in body fat and muscle mass. It turns out that both mice ate the same amount of junk food. There was only a time lapse. What if we replace the bad stuff with the good stuff? You'll be surprised, but the result will be the same. The mouse that had unrestricted access to food also gained weight. Even though I ate only the good things products. It was a real discovery for me. Who would have thought that unlimited intake of healthy foods also contributes to disease and obesity? You can be as many as you like, but taking any food without restriction will only lead to weight gain, disease. This is a real discovery because it fundamentally changes the beliefs you are what you eat. No, you are when you eat. Why is eating time so important? Let me explain. Let's say you got up, had breakfast. The body processes food. Some are used as fuel, which provides energy during the day, and some are stored in fatty stocks. The same process takes place after lunch and dinner. But once you finish your last meal, everything changes. The body stops consuming carbs and storing fat. Internal circadian rhythms accelerate fat burning and activate recovery and rejuvenation. Cell regeneration is initiated. This mechanism works properly every day. Now imagine that dinner time shifted and you sat down to eat late at night. What happens then? The body activates the fat accumulation mode and turns off the regeneration and recovery process. For most people, a temporary meal window is 15 or more hours after this awakening. During weekends, the interval shifts. This creates a real jet lagger for the digestive organs. You changed their time zones. Everyone knows how bad long flights affect sleep. If you fly from Brazil to Japan at 8 o'clock in the morning and the flight lasts for, say, 12 hours, you'll still be there at 8 o'clock in the morning, because Japan is ahead of Brazil by 12 o'clock. You step out of the plane, the brain expects to plunge into the darkness and prepare for sleep, but instead discovers a high shining sun. What can I say? The brain is just in a daze. The same happens with the digestive organs if a person eats at an arbitrary time. On weekdays, the normal diet of the body supports its biological cycle. On weekends, the duration of eating increases and the body feels like it flew to Japan. Observance of circadian rhythms will serve to prevent eating disorders and various diseases. The author also recommends cyclical fasting for 12 to 16 hours with a meal window of 8 to 12 hours. This type of diet is known as interval fasting. I'm sure you've heard of him. I've been in this mode for over 5 years. It's been a very effective way for me to lose weight. Before that, I was doing calorie counts, dieting, sports, but the weight either didn't go away at all or went very slowly. Then the weight just stood up and for a long time kept in place. That was the first time I decided to resort to intermittent fasting. To my surprise, it did work, and I continued to use this technique even after I reached optimal weight. I liked how I felt. Today I'm holding on to an 18-hour fasting and a 6-hour lunch window. I could not eat for a maximum of 12 hours, but then I increased the interval to 18 hours. I eat between 2 o'clock and 8 o'clock. I am sure that now the comments will be poured over the mole breakfast is the most important meal, it cannot be missed, it is harmful to starve. First, everything is individual. For me, this mode is perfect. As they say, you can't try it. I never thought I'd like to starve either. Secondly, if you look at the life of our ancient ancestors, do you think they ever had breakfast? They couldn't just take food from the fridge or buy it from the store. First it had to be found, and it's possible that people lived from hunting to hunting. And the rest of the time was hungry. So I think we're biologically more likely to starve than to have a full breakfast and a regular snack during the day. Don't you think so? The author is convinced that the 15-hour cycle of nutrition adversely affects the whole body. Experiments have proven that time-unlimited food intake harms humans more than harmful products themselves. Since we're talking about the feeding cycle, we can't fail to mention the sleep cycle. And they are directly related. When your eyes are open, your mouth is open too. You're wandering after midnight and hungry. You see what I mean? So we came to the second section of the video. Asleep. The sleep cycle is so deeply embedded in the human brain that even if you find yourself trapped on another planet in a room without light or time, you will still be equal to your inner cycle of sleep and wakefulness. Man is so used to the 24-hour daily rhythm that on another planet, where the day lasts another number of hours to survive will be very difficult. Let's see what happens during sleep. Human eyes contain a light-sensitive pigment melanopsin that reacts to blue light. These sensors are embedded in the brain and regulated by internal circadian rhythms. Melanopsin has very interesting characteristics. It is activated by bright light and sends signals to the brain telling it is waking time. Warm yellow light, in turn, does not activate melanopsin production and sends the opposite signal telling the brain it is time to sleep and relax. In this case, the brain starts producing melatonin, lowers the body temperature and prepares the body for sleep. What is so important? Pigment melanopsin. 90% of the time a person spends indoors, in school, in the office or at home. This results in a lack of bright light needed to activate melanopsin. Circadian rhythm is down, energy is down. Let's say that in the evening you like to sit at a computer, TV, or phone. As the screens emit bright blue light, melanopsins are released, that is, the reverse process is initiated. Melanopsins are produced before bed, which keeps your body on edge. And in the morning, melanopsin isn't enough and you're sleepy. The brain is confused and doesn't know what to do. In the daytime he receives sleep signals, and in the evening he awakens. How can you not be a sleepy fly? You can't sleep because you convinced your brain to stay awake. Where does the body get its energy from? So much for chronic fatigue. This is the important part. How to reset your circadian clock and adjust it again. Here are 9 practical tips. The first is morning walks. You wouldn't believe it, but it takes 5 minutes to activate the circadian rhythm. Second, place the desktop as close to the window as possible. If you have employees, make sure that they work in a well-lit room. The more daylight, the better. Even architects consider this when designing buildings and houses. It is not necessary to be outside all day, but to maintain health it is necessary to stay in the daylight for at least 2 hours. Third, do not use screens or glasses with protection from blue light during the day. 4. Avoid screen usage after 6 p.m. If you still need to sit at your computer or phone, set the night brightness mode, which is dominated by yellow light. Most modern smartphones and computers have this feature. 5. I'm sure you've noticed that it's easier to fall asleep in a cool room than in a hot room. Before going to bed, make sure the bedroom is comfortable. 6. To sleep, the body lowers body temperature. To start this process, you can take a hot shower before sleeping. 7th, do not forget to drink enough water during the day. Put a glass of water near the bed at night so you don't have to get up and go to the kitchen. 8. No coffee in the afternoon. Caffeine can last up to 10 hours, so an afternoon cup of coffee can disturb your sleep. 9th, the last meal should be at least 2 to 3 hours before sleep. This also applies to alcoholic beverages and snacks. And so we went smoothly to the third section of the video: exercise. If possible, it is better to exercise in the morning outdoors. Sports are health, but only if you exercise properly and do not commit violence. For instance, I didn't know what time of day was the best time to do and how often you had to train, what exercise was best. I found the answers to those questions in a book. The good news is, you don't have to do sports a few hours a day to maintain your health. 30 minutes is enough 5 times a week. The best time to exercise in the morning and afternoon from 3 to 7 hours. Morning is great for aerobic exercises and stretching, and afternoon time is ideal for strength training, because the body will be at the peak of its productivity and ready to load. Classes at this time will help to avoid injuries and quickly recover. Don't do strength training before breakfast. In the morning is better walking or cycling. If you cannot allocate at once 30 minutes, then divide the exercise into 2 to 3 approaches and exercise during the day. But again, avoid late night stress because it can worsen the quality of sleep. Now let's wrap it up. The results of experiments have shown that nutrition in a limited time will help not only to get rid of excess weight, but also to maintain the health of the body as a whole. However, I recommend that you consult a doctor anyway before applying intermittent fasting. Just getting the information out of the book. The second is that modern lifestyles disrupt the regulation of melanopsin's photosensitive pigment. Follow the 9 tips to set your inner circadian rhythm. Third, we discussed the optimal type, time, and duration of physical activity. If you've watched the video up to now, I think you're interested in the topic of healthy living, and it's cool you've seen something useful for yourself. Most people prefer to consume meaningless content. Want to learn more about healthy life? We have another video for you. I even showed it to my relatives and friends because I think everyone should know this information. Thank you for subscribing to our channel. To avoid missing new releases, click on the bell. Good day to you and see you.